One of the figures bends silently over the radio and with well-practiced hands coaxes it into life. Its vacuum tubes start to glow dully, and the sound of airwaves, of static, can be heard escaping from his large Bakelite headphones. Suddenly the hissing and popping of the static clears, and the unmistakable sound of a lone timpani drum quietly fills the room. Dum 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 dum.
The night is your friend. The V is your sign.
The king was in exile in London. In his place, the Nazis had set up a puppet regime, but the people were loyal to the king, even though he was far away. Every night they tuned in, hoping to hear his voice on the radio. However far away he was, they would never desert or be unfaithful to him. They longed for the day when he would emerge from exile and free them from their oppressors. As part of creation, God wanted there to be a tangible symbol of his kingship. And from this symbol we would be able to glimpse the most distant echo of the glory of heaven, its awesomeness, its majesty. For this reason, God created kings. But a few hundred years ago, kings ruled with absolute authority. More recently, their power has ebbed. And now the king has become the constitutional king. How should we understand this ebbing of the power of kings? God relates to us through mida keneged mida, measure for measure. When the world at large believed in a God, we were afforded an ever-present representation of God's kingship in the rule of kings when the world turned aside from God and embraced atheism. So, there was a concomitant withdrawal of the power of kings. For some 2,000 years, the Jewish people has been sitting by its radio, listening attentively, waiting for the return of the king. He continues to rule, even though we do not see him. He rules in hiding, in secret. And we sit by our spiritual radios, our holy Torah, receiving inspiration and hope from him. We long for the day when he'll return to us, and the world will acknowledge him as the true ruler. When the kingship will return to the house of David, and there will come a Rosh Hashanah when we will crown him not in exile, but revealed for all the world to see.
This is all the job of the Moshiach ben Yosef. Remember, he's about to change mankind. And I don't mean by introducing a new invention. He's literally going to alter the entire nature of the universe, from a physical one to a spiritual one. As such, he has an enormous amount of enemies, people that clearly it's not in their self-interest that this guy is around. And these enemies are many. The greatest enemy of the Mashiach is not people. It's the Makatrik HaGodel, the great prosecuting attorney, the Satan. He is the real enemy because his entire empire collapses as a result of the entrance of Moshiach ben Yosef. Because of this, God must conceal him. And he conceals him in many ways. He had to do this to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was concealed. The Mekatreg, the prosecuting attorney in heaven, which is the Satan, was busy prosecuting all the Jews. So therefore God concealed Moshe because he was too busy prosecuting the Jews. Therefore he was able to slip down the Mashiach, who ben Yosef, Moshe Rabbeinu was Mashiach ben Yosef, by the way. He slipped him down and he was born. Therefore God is always doing this. Even David was concealed, without getting into the whole story, because again, his greatest enemy is the Satan. Therefore the real Mashiach, how much more so, must be concealed. So he'll be a person that is unlikely to the Messiah. What the Mashiach ben Yosef is a very interesting person. He has a personality that has an enormous spiritual potential, but it's locked up. He cannot express it. In fact, he himself is unbelievably frustrated. And the verse that refers to this is in Isaiah 52, the last 8 verses. it starts off, Hine Yaskel Avdi, behold, my servant will grow wise. Yaskel Avdi, my servant will grow wise. And I think it says then Venisa, I think that says the next, and he will grow, V'yoram, and he will be elevated, V'gova mi'oid, and he will be exceedingly great. So the question is, who is Avdi? Who is God referring to when he refers to my servant? And the answer to that is the normal pshat or meaning refers to Israel, the Jewish people, that they will wax and grow wise and mighty and so on, and then all the nations of the world will recognize them. But the Targum says that Avdi is not Israel, it is the Moshiach, Ben Yosef himself. So the question is, well, why do you have three expressions of growing? So take a look at this. The first one, I think it's Veniso, and he will grow. It says that the Mashiach Ben Yosef will become greater than Avraham Avinu, Abraham. And we're talking about a man that lives today. And we can't even imagine what Abraham was. Okay, so imagine if he has to grow into Abraham as big as Abraham, our father. That means he starts off with enormous detriment. In fact, the verse before says, "Ki mishchas me ishmar eyu," because his likeness is the likeness of corruption, a man that looks ugly or terrible. So nobody will recognize him. But in him is an unbelievable spiritual potential of which he is aware, yet he doesn't know why he's so locked up. Just like Moshe Rabbeinu did not know he was Messiah until he was 80 years old. I'm sure he was trying to figure out what in the world's going on with him, and so on. But he didn't know he was Messiah until God appeared to him, of course, at the burning bush. So the Mashiach does not know who he is for most of his life. But at the end, God speaks to him, and that's how he knows he is the Messiah, and then he begins to grow. So the first growth is as great as Abraham. The second growth is as great as Moshe. The second growth is that he will be greater than Moses in prophecy and in knowledge. So the question is, what's the last growth? I mean, what else is there? And the answer to that is that he will be greater than the ministering angels.
After the Beis HaMikdash, after the temple is rebuilt in Jerusalem, and all the world is coming to Israel to learn the wisdom of the Torah. So it's a vision of the Gula. It's something that's so different from what's going on now. It's very beautiful. It begins, it says, the first pasuk, it says, Kumi ori kiva orech. So it's like saying, arise, shine, is talking to the Jewish people. And this is part of the Shiva Nechemta, the seven Haftorahs of constellation that we read after Tisha B'Av. So then we have these seven beautiful Shabbases where Hashem's comforting us and getting ready for Rosh Hashanah, getting ready for the new year. But Isaiah, it starts out here, the vision, the prophecy is Kumi ori kiva orech. So arise, shine, for your light has come. Ukavod Hashem alaych zarach. And the kavod, the honor of Hashem, the Shekhinah of Hashem is shining like upon you. So we'll start with Rabbi Schwab, Shimon Schwab, his commentary, and then we'll say what we think. But it's saying, arise and shine. Assume your position as the spiritual leader who enlighten the world. Arise and shine, assume your position as the spiritual leader who will enlighten the world. Because kiva orech, because your light has come. And the time has finally come when your long dormant light is ignited, is kindled again. And he says, Kavod Hashem alayk zarak, and the glory of Hashem shines upon you. Yisrael's light. Israel's light is a reflection of Hashem's presence, and which will become like visible for the whole world to recognize at the time of the Gula. All right, what do you think? Pretty nice, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's the good stuff that we all await.
He says, for centuries, the world was enshrouded in various degrees of darkness. There were those who recognized the existence of Hashem, of God, but still worshipped like in strange ways, like avodah zarah, idol worship. And they did not live their lives in accordance with his moral law. So they lived in choshek, they lived in darkness. And there were those who were in the arafel, the deep darkness, denying any moral law for mankind, constant warfare, murder, robbery, torture, and the deprivation of others' rights were recognized as permissible in some vague concept of achieving a greater good. But all this will change with the advent of the Gula. So I think this is so relevant to where we are now. All right, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. The world is shrouded in darkness. it's become very physical. There's a conscious effort to make things even more physical and strip us of our spiritual roots. And towards the end, I mean, that's the playbook. I think we started learning a book called God's Plan, Knowing God's Plan, and that's one of the principles that he lays down over there, that there will be a shroud of darkness before the light, and Israel will be given the light first, and then they'll be able to guide the nation in that light.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the time of like right before every sunrise, it's like the greatest darkness. The greatest darkness is before the sunrise. Like Hashem makes like the light from the stars kind of, go out. And so it's totally dark. And then we have the sunrise.
Yeah,
So what? Yeah.
there's no moral compass. Like there's no right or wrong. Everybody's cheering for their team. World is going morally bankrupt.
Yeah, no. So I mean, we can really see it, right? We really see the darkness we're in right now. So it says very interesting. So v'chalchu goyim la'orech. Now it says like the nations are going to walk in your light. You mean the light of the Torah, the wisdom of the Torah. Umalachim lenoga zarchek. Very fascinating. The kings in the shine of your rising light. So the world leaders even. So first the people. So Rabbi Schwab has very interesting comment here. He says, the nations of the world will follow your enlightened example. They will finally recognize the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, as Elohei Yisrael, as the one and only God who revealed to Israel His Torah, which contains His moral law for all of mankind. The enlightenment will start with a groundswell by the general population, the nations, the goyim, and it will grow until the world leaders, the malachim, the kings, follow your light. So it's interesting. It talks about a grassroots enlightenment first. Like the first ones to see this great wisdom is just your average everyday people. He says they will come home. The word bo, as used in Tanakh, means primarily to come home. And it says benai, your sons. The men who were long lost to the Jewish nation, who were merachok, they were geographically and spiritually distant. They will come streaming back home and rejoin it. This could also refer to those who are not even known as Jews. Not only like geographically, not only are people coming back to, Israel, just to come back home, but they're coming home spiritually. Like they're coming back to, learn the Torah. And, some Jews, they could have their families could completely have lost track of them being Jewish. And they're going to just reawaken to like who they were. And then it's very interesting. It says, and your daughters will be nurtured at your side. And the women will once again seek to be nurtured and educated in the fine points of the age-old spirit of its mother nation, Yisrael. And the women want to discover the secret of true Jewish femininity as it relates to their conduct. Like we saw this, this battle of the sexes, all this confusion over gender that's been pushed. And now it's going to be a healing as like men and women return like to the roles, they're supposed to have.
It's not him. It's about us. It's about every single one of us. And the Rebbe explains in many places that when through the revelation of the general Moshiach, it awakens the spark of Moshiach in each and every one of us. That's why it's important. Because it opens us up to our deepest Moshiach energy that's within us when we recognize Moshiach in the collective Moshiach. He was still in a broken state. But when Yaakov came and showed him his face, the lights of 45 were Yaakov was coming as the liberator of those sparks of 52 that were in evil. They were stuck in a dark place. But at that moment, they were released from their trappings. And those sparks, which are really shards from such a holy place, couldn't resist the human being who was so godly, Yaakov. When Yaakov showed them his face, these sparks couldn't resist it. The sparks that were in Esav couldn't resist it. And they came running to Yaakov begging to be redeemed. It's like the sparks from 52 seeking to join together with, what did we say? That 45 has to fix 52. This was the ultimate fixing. 45 was fixing 52. 45 acted like a magnet to pull 52 in. Here is the Cabalistic formula. If you know this, you can graduate as a Kabbalist. Okay? You can call me and I'll give you your certificate. You'll be a certified Kabbalist. And this is the way it works. This is the Kabbalistic formula. 63 shattered, and it produced 52. Shem Sag, the name of 63, shattered, because that's where the lights were immense. The broken pieces fell down and became the name of 52, which is related to the unrectified elements of the world, the dark elements of the world. And then we apply 45 to fix the mess in 52. So 45 needs to be applied to 52 to fix it. And that's the Jewish people, the Jewish soul, together with the Torah, which only the Jewish people and only the Torah come from the world of 45. The descendants of Jacob. We come into the world of 52, the shattered pieces, where Esau has fallen. He has fallen from 63 into 52. And he's a mess now. He needs rectification. So 45 spends thousands of years fixing 52. When he finishes fixing 52, the magic happens. You ready? The magic happens. When 45 fixes 52, that's when all the bells start ringing. You get where I'm going with this? Let's watch this. 52 reconnects to 63. Ban reconnects because once you've fixed it, once you've rectified it, you now have these shards that are no more shards. They're now fixed. They're put into place. They've been cleansed and purified, whatever that system is, through the Torah and through the mitzvahs. They've marinated a world that has been purged from all evil through Torah and mitzvot of the Jewish people. Once it's ready and the time of Moshiach is here, the energies, the broken shards of 52 ring up, they ring the bells of 63, and they call the runaway lights, the lights that escaped and went back into God, those powerful lights, they whistle to them, come back down, come back down. And those lights of 63 come racing back down and fill the vessels of 45. Which has within it the 52. So since it has within it embedded the 52, the fixed 52, it has now these vessels of 45 have now the fortification that they can take the infinite lights of 63 and not burst. And what you suddenly have is a finite world having an infinite energy in it. That's what happens. That's the magic. What I just told you, I will now share with you, not me, I'm not telling you anything, I'm just sharing with you what it says on Hasidus and Kabbalah. 4,000 years ago, this whole dynamic was played out in a meeting of Jacob with his brother Esau.
Esav hates Yaakov. This is an halacha. This is not a midrash. This is not a story. This is an actual halacha that Esav hates Yaakov.